Let's go over this LeetCode toSum2 input array is sorted. So for this problem, we are given a one indexed array of integers. We have this int numbers right here. It's already in sorted, non-decreasing order. We're going to want to find two numbers such that they add up to a specific index, which is going to be our target number. We can let these two numbers be numbers at an index and numbers at this other index, index 1 and index 2. Where our index 1 is greater than or equal to 1, and our index 2 is greater than our index 1, and both are going to be less than or equal our numbers.length. It's going to return the indices of our two numbers added by 1 as an integer array length of 2. So basically all it's saying is that we need to return an integer array of two elements, and they're going to be the index at where they are plus 1, essentially giving us the spot in the length of it. And then we have these tests right here. The tests are generated such that there is exactly one solution, and we may not use the same element twice. And this is our examples as well as some explanations. Here are our constraints once again. Try this code on your own. If you can't figure it out, there's two ways you can do this: a very inefficient way and a simple way, or a way more efficient way, which is also pretty simple. First, the least efficient way would be to use a for loop to go through every number in this array, and then use another for loop to go through and compare these values added together to the target. That's inefficient. An efficient way to do this is to use a single for loop. Run this only O(n) times. And in this for loop, we know two things. We know that we have a 0th index, a first index, and we have a back index. So I'm going to make two variables, int front, I'm going to set equal to 0, and we're going to have a back, which I'm going to initially set equal to our numbers dot length, and then minus 1. So we have these two. Now, somewhere in here, they're going to add up to equal our target. We just need to find out where. So we're going to want to run this while our front is less than our back. And they're eventually going to come together. Now we are going to want to either increment our front or decrement our back depending on our needs. First, let's check if we even need to do this, because if our front and our back added together equal to our target, we can just return. Now we're going to be using the indexes at front and back a lot, so it's easier just to make a sum variable. We can say int sum is equal to, we're going to have numbers at our front index plus the numbers at our back index. Remember, front and back are going to change possibly every single time when we go through this array or this for loop. Now we just need to be ready for that. That's why we use these instead of fixed values. So inside of here, we can have an if statement that checks if our sum is equal to our target. And if our sum is equal to our target, we're going to do two things. First, we want to use a garbage collector. I found this calling the garbage collector gives us a much better runtime. And to do this, we just do system.gc. This calls the Java garbage collector. And then inside of here, we are going to want to return our new int array. We're going to pass in the values of our front index plus 1, and then the back index plus 1. So that's going to be it for not the entire method, but if we have our sum equal to our target. Now, what if our sum does not equal to our target? We'll have two else if statements. The first else if statement is going to deal with if our sum is greater than our target. Now, if the sum is greater than the target, that means that the element at the back is too big. This one right here, too big. So we gotta decrement it. We're going to have back, and then we're just gonna decrement the index by doing back minus minus. That's all. We're just going to go down 1, and we'll just keep going until the sum is less than our target. So if sum is then less than our target, we're going to want to have a front plus plus so that we can increment this front. And we just do that until we get the indexes at where the elements equal to our target when added together. Java is going to give us an issue since we only have a return here. We are going to also need a return outside of this for loop, even though we are never going to hit it. So let's have our return new int still, and then we'll just pass in 0, 0 as parameters because it needs it, but theoretically we should never ever hit this return, and we should have a semicolon here after this check. It's going to give us a runtime of 3 milliseconds. It's going to have a memory of 45 megabytes. If you keep running it, obviously you're going to get different times with different test cases LeetCode will give you, but that is how we would do this LeetCode problem. If you have any questions about it, please leave a comment below, and if you want more Java LeetCodes, check out that playlist link below, the like button.